It was July 17, 2016, in Hong Kong. At midnight, a young man desperately knocked on a door. It wasn't the door of his accommodation. It belonged to the South Korean consulate. Opening that door meant life. Remaining outside meant certain death by dawn. Just a day earlier, this 18-year-old mathematical genius had been celebrated on a stage, winning another silver medal for North Korea. Now he was a refugee. The shocking truth, however, was that his escape wasn't from a jail sentence, but from compulsory service. North Korea intended to recruit him into their elite hacking division, where his duties would involve penetrating banking systems, stealing billions, and contributing to missile development. A lifetime confined to a subterranean base, dedicated to the regime's most sinister objectives. Then the door creaked open. "I'm from North Korea. I wish to defect," he murmured. He was ushered inside, believing he was safe. Yet he was on Chinese territory, a jurisdiction known for repatriating North Korean defectors. What path led a mathematical prodigy to this point, and could he successfully secure safe passage to South Korea? Born in 1998 in a city north of Pyongyang, Ri Jong-yeol grew up under the watchful gaze of Kim Jong-un image. By age 7, while his peers were learning basic addition, Ri had already mastered the entire elementary mathematics curriculum. His teachers observed his almost mechanical computing speed. North Korea views outstanding aptitude not as something to be cherished, but as a tool to be utilized, or weaponized. Ri's prodigious intellect secured his entry into Pyongyang's highly selective school for gifted young people, an academy that functioned as a covert recruitment channel. Strict surveillance was placed on all activities. Lessons were monitored, friendships were cataloged, and every idea was vetted for unwavering loyalty. Successful students were turned into valuable resources. The most capable were essentially deemed state assets. By the age of 15, he excelled in regional contests, and at 16, he joined the national team for the International Mathematical Olympiad, IMO. This led to 4 successive years of international travel, including trips to Thailand, South Africa, Colombia, and Hong Kong, where he earned 4 silver medals between 2013 and 2016. In a country desperate for international recognition, he became an understated asset, the math prodigy who represented North Korea globally. However, international visibility brought risks. The more renowned he became, the closer the government kept him under control. Following his 3rd Olympiad in Thailand in 2015, Ri came home anticipating acclaim, but instead he sensed inquiries being made about him. High-ranking officials had been questioning his acquaintances, family members, and instructors. In North Korea, this kind of scrutiny carried a singular implication. The state had chosen him for a specific purpose. The news circulated quietly in whispers. The state intended to enlist him right after high school into a secret division, bypassing the university and public service track. It was something clandestine. Within days, Ri managed to piece together the government's intentions. The regime planned to exploit his mathematical prowess for cyber warfare. Optimally, he would serve as a hacker for the Reconnaissance General Bureau, North Korea's concealed digital force, responsible for pilfering funds from international banks and cryptocurrency exchanges to finance missile projects. Pessimally, he would be allocated to nuclear weapons research, a literal human calculator confined to a bunker, determining flight paths and explosive yields. He was offered no alternative. Refusal or escape was impossible. Once selected, one's personal life ceased, and perpetual mandatory service began. He would be under constant observation, permanently cut off, and forced to execute the regime's most nefarious arithmetic. Sunlight would only reach him through state-controlled media. He would form no relationships free from monitoring. He would possess no autonomy over any aspect of his life. For a 17-year-old who had briefly experienced liberty on international journeys, this destiny resembled being buried alive prematurely. During his time at the Olympiad events, Ri observed foreign students enjoying unconstrained laughter, accessing the uncensored internet, and discovering cities without handlers. He even established friendships with South Korean counterparts who shared his mother tongue, but inhabited a different reality where individual choices were possible. Every return flight to Pyongyang felt like entering a grave. Confronted with forced recruitment into North Korea's clandestine machinery, Ri's psyche fought back. He envisioned windowless chambers, siphoning wealth from overseas accounts for warheads, and quantifying his existence by confidential assignments and timed breaks. That evening, Ri performed a calculation far more perilous than any math equation. He decided to flee. But how could he possibly manage it? Escaping North Korea necessitated traversing frontiers, protected by shoot-to-kill orders, minefields, and a pervasive surveillance system monitoring every single citizen. The Hermit Kingdom is a sealed trap. Then a critical factor, the variable, appeared. The 2016 IMO was scheduled for Hong Kong. While this was technically Chinese territory, it was a cosmopolitan, expansive city hosting a South Korean consulate. This also marked his final eligible year to compete. This was undeniably his last overseas journey, his ultimate opportunity. Could he successfully evade the regime's watchful eyes in a foreign metropolis long enough to seek asylum? Prior to departing for Hong Kong, Ri defied regulations. He confided in one individual, his father, a math teacher who instilled his son's passion for numbers, who now heard his son's confession of treason. The father's gaze reflected terror mixed with something profoundly stronger, pride. He pressed $200 in foreign currency into Ri's hand. This was a profoundly daring deed. Should it be uncovered, the entire family faced incarceration or execution, as North Korea punishes defection with 3 generations of collective punishment. Nevertheless, Ri's father provided assistance, fully aware that his own life would be forfeited the moment his son successfully defected. Ri embraced his father, committing to memory the feel of his arms, the sound of his breathing. He accepted he would likely never see his loved ones again, never hear his mother's voice, and never know if they survived the consequences of his decision. He boarded the flight to Hong Kong with his academic team, carrying only a tire, books, and that precious $200. One shot at freedom, but was an 18-year-old student capable of outwitting an entire regime? And what destiny awaited him if his planning failed? If the calculations go wrong?